It's moving fast now. All right. Wholesaling 101. January 29th, 2021. And open up the chat. My dog's snoring. Okay, and nothing in the Q&A. Okay. All right, Wholesaler 101. There's my contact. Let me join my group and post your. Join my group and post your social medias. We'll like and follow all of them and do that with everybody else. All right, so your homework was from last week. We talked about a little bit about your CRM. I think the ones to choose are either Podio or batch driven. If you've got a lot of money, you could go with Freedom Soft or REI Simple, which are going to cost a lot more, but are going to do everything for you. Have you become the investor? And I mean, like, really, have you put on all your social media that you buy houses? Have you gotten into the habit of like meeting new people and telling them, when people ask, what do you do? Well, I buy houses, I flip houses. You could say I'm a real estate transaction engineer. Don't put like CEO of home equity diamond solutions. Like, nobody knows what that means. People are like, well, what does that mean? Or a good one is like, people put problem solver on there and it sounds cool, but it's like, well, I got a kink in my neck, can you solve that problem? And they're like, well, no, I buy houses. Wouldn't put that on your thing, on your bios. All right. So really become the investor. Make that your thing. Stop drinking the Kool-Aid at work. The goal is, and always is, to quit the job, to replace that job income. Like when I was working at Walmart pushing carts, it was I'd make like 900 a month, like $450 a paycheck every 2 weeks. And so 1,000 a month was enough for me to quit there. It was only like 10,000 a year, barely. Because right around Christmas you'd get extra time and extra work. But yeah, so you can definitely do that. So pick a list type. We're gonna circle back to the lists. Make sure you pick a list, pick a marketing strategy, pick a skip tracer, and pick a virtual number. I've found some more virtual numbers on here. So if you haven't really narrowed it down, now is the time. Okay. And then did you go to that badass lady thing? The badass women in real estate. What is it called? Badass. That is today, tomorrow. I guess anybody can come. I don't think you have to be a woman. Badass women investors. Anyway, it's on the site. I think it's today, tomorrow. And if it's still going on, thank you for coming to this. Instead of that, hopefully this is after or that's over. I've only got like 3 people in here, or 4 people. So yeah, 3 days, 2 more to go. Oh, so today is over. All right, yeah. I had it playing on in the background, and my wife, her desk is over here. Mine is like in the back of the office. And so I had it playing and was just, pushing stuff over there. She isn't really into real estate, but she's into skip tracing people. She found a 17-year-old. The I needed to find the guy's phone number of this um, HOA, and she found the guy's arrest record, his phone number, his email, his home, his IP address, all that. And I was like, oh man, I didn't even. He told me everything about the house that I needed to know that had a HOA lien on it. So it was like I didn't even need to bring that up, but I could. So yeah, and then that's tomorrow and Saturday and Sunday. So you know, and there'll be recordings. But if you could hear it live, you'll be able to ask questions if questions come up. You won't be able to after the fact because some of these ladies aren't regular members of or aren't super group leaders that do events every week or maybe every month. So you need questions now, and then you have that stuff playing on in the background, and you can do it on your phone. And I think they're webinars, so you're not gonna they're not gonna video you, so you can just listen in and just pick up some knowledge. All right, so and then did you build your team? And what I mean by team is if you were here last week, team is people that work with you, but also work for themselves because right now you don't have enough to hire people in house and stuff like that. So, all right. So here is the list. We've got driving for deals on your way to work, Zillow, Craigslist, Pocket List, which is your contacts in your phone that you're just calling. You can watch last week to get more in depth on all that. You can buy one, batch driven. I don't care anymore. You can go last week to get the that link, or you can just I think you can put in deals. Pull the list as a realtor, Mojo Sells, and List Source. And then Mojo Sells has the for sale by owner and for sale by rent and expireds. They've got all the MLS stuff. It's made for realtors. So you should have picked a marketing strat, ringless voicemails, mass texting, mail pieces that have a web form on them, Facebook ads, message bots. I sell a message bot, so let me know if you want one. Door knocking, cold calling, mail pieces with a phone number on it, a virtual phone number, and then going live and making videos on social media. All right, so we got you should have picked a skip tracing. So batch skip tracing I think is the best. Batch driven, lead Sherpa, REI skip, people finders. Oh no, skip vault is the best. People finders, skip genie, americantraders.com, and skip vault. Skip vault, I put a list in there of like 50. I've got a link to them too. They reached out to me to sell their stuff on social media, so they give me a discount on their skip tracing. But oh my gosh, I mean, if I didn't have batch driven and I wasn't, well, I think it might be good enough for me to skip trace outside and put it in batch driven. But skip vault was really good. And then a virtual number, Google Voice is cheap, so on the cheap side. But it's linked to your email, and you can only have like one at a time. And you can only have one. It's got to be tied to your phone. So if you get another one, you literally have to get another phone. You can get a burner phone. I had a student that was afraid that people were going to find him. So to put him at ease, he got back in the day, it was called Singular. That's how long ago it was. I don't know if y'all are old enough to remember that, but it was called Singular, and they had a thing called Go Phone, and you could just buy a phone with a SIM card in it, flip that thing open, and have a number. And you could literally just take the battery pack out the back and throw it away as a burner phone. So if they do find that number, it's not tied to you because it's just you put minutes on it and a card. I think they still do that, right? Burnerphone.com is a good one, which is basically the same thing. They do I don't think they do mass texting, but it is a call dialer. So it is a dialer that will call people, and it's just like Mojo Sells, but cheaper. But it doesn't have any of those extra lists, and I think um, it gets more expensive as you pay for the 2 and 3 and 4 dialer. So basically, what it does is it dials one person at a time, but you can pay to have it dial 4 people at a time, and the first one to pick up, when they pick up, it'll hang up on the other 3, and so you'll take that one call, and then it'll call those other 3 plus another one, and so it's just a quicker way to get through like 80, 200 numbers a day, something ridiculous like that. Batch driven is really good, but there's no calling yet. CallRail is good, but there's no mass texting in that one. On the expensive side, we have REI Simple, which, excuse me, which is basically Freedom Soft with a little bit of extra stuff. Mojo Sells, Twilio. Twilio is a really good phone system, but it is like a little bit complicated to use. So when you get Twilio, you can literally create a bot, and it's made for businesses. Now, it's called something else, and I can't remember what that is, but Twilio is the version of that that works with Podio. So I think it's called Twitio, maybe something like that. But you literally have these building blocks like Legos that you can take, like when a call comes in, and it looks almost like DOS, but you have these blocks, and you can say when a call comes in, um, it rings to this person, and then you can put one in that will go to the next available person, and then you'll put in the available phone numbers, and you'll buy the phone numbers in there, and it will literally go to the next. So you basically create like a call center, or if you have a coffee shop, one they described, the example they have is where you can have it like a text comes in for an order. What is the order? Is it cappuccino, this, that, blah, blah, blah. And then it will literally route that, and then it'll text you, hey, a cappuccino is for this person. This is the name on it. All that good stuff. So you can customize it, but it's really, really complicated. A guy in my mastermind, Chris, actually made a text bot where people would text in and they would say, I want to sell my house. And he would send them a mail piece that would say, text this number and say, I want to sell. And so you text it and say, want to sell. So the text, I want to sell, would come in. And then, of course, you'd go from there, and it would literally answer questions. They'd be like, I want to offer. Okay, and they wouldn't even know that it was a bot. Callfire is a good one, and I spelled it wrong. But you get a discount through the REI USA with Callfire, and they do mass texting, calling, all that. Smartphone, without an A, is built just for Podio, and it is a dialer. There's no mass texting, but it works directly with Podio. So that, it's just plug in and play, which is not something that Podio does a lot of. And then CBSI Holdings is a 24-hour call center where, you get a number from them, you put it on all your stuff, people call it, and then they get a script or a Podio web form, and they put stuff in for you, or they email it to you. So your team, as a noob with little money, you got a realtor, a lawyer, which is basically, that is the 24-hour lawyer on demand. What was it called? Prepaid legal. A lawyer. Wholesalers from meetups and Facebook and social media. And did you make a goal? All right, so well, I guess it's one of those is me. So 4 people, you should have a goal. Okay. So last week we talked about a goal. So at the end of the year, what is your goal going to be? Mine is to do 3 deals a week by the end of the year. So in December, I was going to do 3 deals a week, and then you go back from that. So in November, December. So in November, I'm going to do 3 deals a week. And I think, no, I converted it to a month. So it was 16 deals in December, and then it was 15 deals a month in December, all the way back up to 2. So right now I'm doing 2 deals a month. So next month I need to be doing 3 to keep on track with my goal. And one of the ways I'm doing that is when I reached out to people is I reached out to D, and he does like 4 or 5 a week. And what he said was do any kind of deal there was. So right now as a wholesaler, yeah, this is live right now. So as a wholesaler, getting started, you want to stick with just the wholesale deals, but later on when you want to increase and do more deals, you need to start thinking about wholesaling foreclosures, wholesaling probate properties, wholesaling expired listings, and more deal types. And that's how one of the ways I'm able to achieve that goal. So set one of those goals for you. If you haven't wholesaled a deal yet, make sure you get a goal and make it something like, I want to wholesale 2 deals a month. So if you set those at the end of the year, 2 deals a month in the last month, and probably say 3 months till then, and then every other month after that until next month, you want to be doing 1 deal a month. Okay, so set that goal. You can set it pretty small, or maybe 3 deals a month. Just make it something that you think you can achieve, and set that goal, put it on your calendar, and you know what? Go into the my Facebook group or the REI USA Facebook group and post that goal in there, so that when you put it out there into the world, you will sort of feel like people will hold you accountable, and so you're more apt to do that. Like, for example, when people have a New Year's resolution, they're less likely to keep it if they don't tell anybody. So if you tell somebody, you put it out there, you're more likely to keep it, and people will hold you accountable. All right, and I'll see them too, or tag me. How about that? And then I can hold you accountable. And because the goal is to help you quit your job, you want to replace that income with wholesaling income. So make that goal and post your goal right now in the chat. So go to the chat, post your goal, let me know. Oh, you have no, just starting. Okay, so I'll go back. Ooh, do I have it? I'll go back and show you what the goal is. Okay. Do I have it? Yes. Oh, all right. Good, good. All right. And of course, it's being slow. So it is set a goal so big that you can't achieve it until you turn into the person who can. Okay, so here's my goal. I want to do 13 deals by the end of the year. So the goal that I want, I started out with, I wanted to do 4 deals a week, which was 16 deals in a month. Right now I'm doing a deal every 2 weeks, or 2 deals a month. So I set that goal at the end of the year at 13, and then I just go back from there. So this month, right now, I should be doing 2 deals, right on track. Next month, I need to be doing 3. If I'm not doing 3, then I'm not on track, and I need to ramp up my marketing, my deals. I need to consult people about talking to sellers and getting them to commit to signing contracts. So if you haven't gotten started, I would say start with 2 deals at the end of the year. And we'll go, got to make it like line up. All right, and then we're going to do 1. I'll forget about that. Okay. All right. All right. All right. Yeah. 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 So let me see if I can. Kid, man, my wife's probably like, passed out on the bed and they're watching their show and got the door up. So if you can hear their show, I'm sorry. But boys, okay. So you can see my whole screen. All right. Dang it. All right. Look. So set a goal so big that you can't achieve it until you grow into the person who can. All right. So yeah. All right. So let's do this. All right. So 4 to 6 deals this year, 10 to 12 if I can JV with others. That is the other thing is JVing with other people, which I'm going to get to later, which is awesome. Okay. All right. So we've got 4 to 6 and 3. Let me do 4 because I think that'll just the math will work out good on here. All right. So 4, 4. Okay. And then we'll do 3. 3, 3, 3, and then oh no, I had it right. I had it right the first time. All right, so 3, 3, and then 3, and then 4, 4. Okay, so right now you should be doing 1 deal a month. With well, because you don't want to put on here you in April you want to be doing 2 deals a month. All right, and then July, 3 deals a month, and then in October you want to be doing 4 deals a month. Okay, and then if you want to do 3, I would just put 3, 3, 3. And if you have a fold out calendar, you can put that on each page of the calendar, like a big, you know, 1, 2, or 3 for that month. Or if you have a big table calendar, you can put that up in one of the like clear boxes and just make a note that it's 1 deal this month. All right. And so that way each month, when you go to that month, you'll see how many deals you should be on track for that month. And of course, if you have the table calendar, you'll also write down what deals you have, all right, on there. So you'll see everything. You got to see stuff. You can't be tracking all this digitally. Okay. All right. So that's the goal. All right. And Kimberly. Okay. So did that help you out, Kimberly, with forming a goal? And remember, so like if the goal seems, you want to set the goal again that is going to be the person who you're going to be at the end of the year. So at the end of the year, you're going to be a person who does wholesale deals. So set a goal so big that you can't achieve it until you turn into that person. Okay. And if you don't think you're badass enough, uh, then I say you are, especially with this. Well, even if you're not a lady, you could still uh, participate in the badass women in real estate. Yes. So you can review the other webinars, and as a member of the REI USA, you can also you have my wholesaling weekly thing. It's the wholesaling online course, I think is just what it's called. You can go to that. And I would say if you go to that, watch week 1 and then do everything in there. Make sure you got the homework done, even if it takes longer than a week, and then move on to the next one. All right. Okay. So the book this week, which you can get on Audible, I would say get it on Audible. Nobody like really reads anymore. Uh, Profit First. Okay, here's the book. It's by Mike Michalowicz. I hope I got that right. But it's Profit First, and basically, the moral of this story is the toothpaste story. So you know how you have a tube of toothpaste, and when you first get it, you just squeeze it all out onto the thing, and you use whole big gobs of it. But when you get to the end, you're lazy, you don't want to go get a new tube of toothpaste. You start squeezing a little bit, and you realize you only needed a little bit that whole time. So it's like that, but with money. So when you profit first, you make your money, you take out a humongous chunk of that money, and you set it aside as profit. So that's your the money you make. All right. So that's what you would pay yourself, and then you have uh, that little bit of money. Then you put that towards marketing, to wholesaling, to cold calling, mail pieces, and all that. And what that does is that forces you to think like, where am I going to put this money? You're not just throwing it at stuff. You're not just spending all this money on bandit signs, paying a guy to put them out when it's not really working. You're thinking like, well, if it's not really working, so you want to put the least amount of money into something and get the most amount of effort. We're lazy. You're an entrepreneur. All right, you're a wholesaler, so you got to be thinking lazy. How can I put a little bit of money and get a big return? So that's the moral of that story. Why you profit first, and that's the book I'm reading this week. All right, so the investor that I had flying in with 6 million, the hedge fund, last week or this week, on the 27th. Yeah, this Wednesday. One of them got corona, or he was in contact with somebody with the rona, and he's not feeling too well, so he's quarantining for 14 days. They will be back on the 16th, which is my birthday. So it was like a Tuesday, so we might have the party that weekend. But yeah, so be safe, wear a mask, and you can text any deals you have to that number, and basically we'll call wholesale it. So anything in Atlanta, I want them to be in Atlanta because when they get off the airport, I'm going to drive them to the deals, and they'll be there in the afternoon. It's so basically rush hour. So the more deals I can show them to, they'll be ready to sign. Okay. And they're flying in on the 16th now, and so they just want rentals. So they want rentals that they can rent out. Doesn't matter how much repairs, as long as it's a good deal as a rental. You can use rentometer.com, rentometer.com, to check rents. And ARV kind of matters, but these guys are coming down from New York, so they're used to New York money. So they're going to pay a little bit more than normal. So the buyer's postponed. He got the Rona. Be safe. So what I did is I went out on social media. So I told my team, we're in a Facebook messenger chat, and I was like, hey, I've got these guys coming in. We need to get a bunch of deals, get them above what, like, you normally get them at, like up your mayos, just get the deal. We can sell it to them and sell it to them for a little bit more. And because they're coming down to get rentals, they're paying a little bit extra because they don't want to do a whole lot of work. But they're a hedge fund, so they don't care about the work. It's about the whole thing. So if they buy the house for 20 and the land for 20, and then they put in 80, and then it turns around and rents out for 1,200 a month, they're fine with that because they're a hedge fund. They're just worried about that 1,200 rent as comparison to the all-in amount of 100,000, which is a good deal. And they're doing so many of these that they're getting a discount on the teams. The contractors are coming to do it too. So I put out on all social medias that, hey, I'm looking for wholesale deals. Came out of nowhere, came out in droves. I've got like a spreadsheet we're going to look at here in a second where I've got like 8 deals on it. And one guy gave me a bunch on there too. So I don't know if it was because I told people I had a buyer, and the stuff I put out on social media was the stuff I put out on social media. Uh, where is that? Where is? Oh, when you log into REI USA, it should be under programs or trainings, but it comes with everything. So you get that training, then you get like a 7-day uh, investor thing from Stacy, but it should be in there. If you can't find that, let me know afterward, and I'll help you find it. Um, so I went out on social media and I told people, um, let me go into my to my profile and I'll show you. So yeah, right there. I'm meeting a hedge fund. I'm meeting the hedge fund tomorrow to show them deals in Atlanta. They'll be ready to sign. They'll pay more than your buyer. Day before that, got any ITP at ATL deals? My buyer will pay more. So I'm letting them know, hey, my buyer will pay more than your buyer or anyone that you'll find. And so ITP is in the perimeter. So there's a road or a freeway around Atlanta. So that's ITP is in the perimeter. OTP is outside the perimeter. All right. I need any deals you have in Atlanta. My buyer will pay more. So that's basically what I said, and people came out. I've got a bunch. We'll show them on the spreadsheet. So I really went to town on it, and I don't know if that's because I told people I had a buyer, or that me and my crew knew that we had a buyer, so we were just going at it to get deals. Now, I would not suggest ever to just go tell people you have a buyer when you don't. All right. Uh, and I can basically wholesale in reverse. I don't think so, but that's just this one buyer. Okay, I've got another guy, buyer that I use where so I've got like 3, 4 people that are acquisition managers that cold call to sellers. Well, I've got a guy who runs a cold calling for buyers, and he cold calls. Uh, like I pull a list of motivated sellers who own property. He pulls a list of people with cash, high-paying jobs who have never spent money in real estate before. Excuse me, in real estate before. Uh, Doctors, lawyers, stuff like that, based on their income, and he will bid them against each other. So if you get properties outside of OTP Atlanta, um, I've got another guy that will, and so for example, I had a deal in Smyrna. You could see the airport, and in Cobb County, the Cobb County Airport. I mean, it was just loud. It was right next to a body shop that was right next to a 4-lane road. Not a really good place. I had it for 30,000. It was a tear down, and the ARV was 200,000. And I told Stacy, and she was like, "Ugh." And I was like, "I've already got a buyer for it." I mean, I was just telling y'all, this is crazy. The guy found a buyer who paid 56 for it. So we split that. I think we made like 11 after, because he double closed on it. He paid for the funding to do the double closing. And it was the day we closed was the next day. Trump came on the news and said, "Hey, we're in a pandemic. Let's go into a lockdown." And yeah, right on time. So if he could find that kind of good deal, and I mean, it had spray paint on it. Every time we'd go there, people would walk up and ask us if we were selling it, but they would work at the body shop. Yeah, and it didn't even have, the house was sold. It didn't even have a spot to put like a washer and dryer. That was like they expected you to go. So that had to be added. So square feet had to be added to the house as well. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Bring me deal. You just got to be direct to the buyer, and we'll co-sell them. Any price range, really. With the guy, that runs the like Glengarry Glen Ross type boiler room, sweatshop, cold calling for buyers. Give me those Glengarry leads. Uh, that guy will get them anywhere in well, I mean, in Georgia, pretty much. But if if you come to me with a deal and it's in Atlanta and it's good as a rental, I'm going to sell it to the hedge fund. If not, I'm going to sell it to the other guys. Now, the thing with the hedge fund, since they're coming in on the 16th, I'm going to want to hold that rental deal till then to show it to them. And they're going to come and I'm going to sign it to them. And I'm going to up the price a little bit because I don't know if they're going to try and, negotiate when they're there or if they're just too used to New York. But we'll see. So there's more potential there. But I would like to hold those deals. The other guy, we just shoot it to him as soon as we get him. And they've got to have it's hit the Glengarry guy is more about ARV. It's got to have a good ARV. The hedge fund, they don't care about ARV. They just want it to rent good. So if you've got a good rental but the ARV sucks, it's going to go to them. But either one is looking for any price range as long as it fits the 70% of the ARV minus repairs minus your fee, and again your fee should be 10,000. Okay, so okay, all right, let's go to the spreadsheet. Here we go. Okay, so here it is. I've got all the properties here. I've got the city, state, and the zip code. I've uploaded these to Google Maps, to my maps. So I've made a map of this and it's routed me, and you can see what number it is on the route. I've gotten some extra ones since then. I've got market rent. Now some of these don't. I put stuff into the current rent. So yeah, it's a little confusing, but I'll have to go back through my messages. Some of these aren't currently rented, so it's just these. But what I did was I brought this rent over here, and then I created this rent to cost, basically to show me which deals are the best. So you can see it takes this rent and it divides it by the price. Okay, and so you can see these two down here are the best. Wall drop, and there's one up here. Yeah, Wall Drop Cove. And then I've got whether they're tenant occupied, when's the lease, when is out, whether the repairs. So I can tell these guys when we're meeting at these properties what's going on. HOA, got pics, emails, and then who the other wholesaler. And then lockbox codes and who I got to call and stuff to get in. So if we are, for the next thing, we're going to be reverse wholesaling. So I'm going to copy this. All right, so we'll go, I'll copy that. All right. So now, present. Let me get my chat back up. Okay. Yeah, under or over 100,000. The thing with 100,000 is when you put in the 70% rule, you're really not gonna, nobody's gonna rehab $100,000 ARV house. So if it's 100,000, you're gonna put the 70% of that 100,000 ARV. That's gonna be 70,000 minus whatever the repairs are. Nobody's gonna really do that. Those are usually gonna be rentals. I don't know why. I looked at it and this whole time I've been thinking you meant over 100,000. All right. So reverse wholesaling, or as I call it, wholesaling dyslexic. So basically what I did here with this buyer is the buyer came to me and then it put a fire under me to go find the deals, to do it in reverse. So find the buyer, step one. All right. let's go find a buyer. All right, so here in batch driven, man, I can't believe it's loading up now. Like I was sitting here like 30 minutes before logging into Zoom and it was doing nothing. So I just had to shut my computer off. So I type in a zip code and I want the zip code of Decatur. All right, so here's what you see. We want absentee owner because we don't want them to live in the house. And then we want cash buyer and we want no pre-foreclosure. So give it a second and it'll bring it up. And when we can select not on market, whatever. And it's in 30034, which is a good zip code. All right, so we'll put these in a folder. So the way this batch driven works is you have folders. So I'll make a new folder. Buyers, and I had to explain to my kid what this is. He was like, he was saving a game on his Switch, and he was like, what is this? Why does that save my game? And I had to explain to him what a floppy disk was. All right, so you can see down here, oh, it may take a few minutes. All right, so if I go to my houses, don't look at these. Oh, these are buyers. Okay, so Patricia Mitchell, okay, a person, and they bought a house. I don't have an image of the house, but yeah, so that's where she lives. She lives in Decatur. Now let's go for somebody that lives a little ways away. So Patty, there's the house, real nice. She lives in Ellenwood. Wow, got a nice house in Decatur on Riverside Parkway, and you live in like Ellenwood. That's like backwards. Okay. Owned it for 13 years. This is good. It's a 3.3, built in '05, high, about the height of the market. Okay, so she paid cash for it. Now we go to skip trays. Let's see. Is it gonna be slow? Yeah, it's gonna be slow. Okay. Let's give it a second. All right. Okay. So there we skipped them. We've got all these phone numbers, and then we'll call them. All right. So this is a buyer that would go after this deal right here. So what I would do is I would go in this area. I would call this buyer, get him on the phone, or I would. You could go to Ellenwood if you're near Ellenwood and knock on the door and say, "Hey, I see you bought this house. Do you buy more? You paid cash. You know, are you still buying?" And I'd probably call them first. And then we'll go back to, man, 1 minute they're like loving each other, and the next minute they're like punching the crap out of each other. All right, so see what they bought. Okay, so we see what that person bought. And you can either see that from the list or from the meeting. So if you get a buyer's list from anywhere else, you can see all that information, what they bought, when they bought it, how long ago they bought it, how many bed and bath they bought it at, what price they bought it at. If you're meeting a buyer in person or they're saying, "Hey, I'm a buyer," you can ask them what repairs they did. You can ask them if it's a rent or rehab, and what's their criteria. You want to know what their criteria is because it may be 60% of the ARV minus repairs, minus whatever price you want. It may be rent. Excuse me. If it's from a list, look at what they bought. If you're in person, you can ask them. Okay, so let's go back. So if we go to batch driven, they bought this. Why can't I copy the actual address and not just? All right, so here we go. This one. Oh my gosh. 4067 Riverside Parkway. 4067 Riverside. Okay. So here's the house, and we want to go to Zillow. All right. And if you don't get Zillow, if it brings up a bunch of other stuff, type in Zillow and then search the address in Zillow. Okay, so here are the pictures from when it was rented, I bet. So if we'll scroll down, that's probably about the ARV 33, no, 44. So yeah, right around here. Now yellow is solds. So the ARV on this one was 140, 160. Not a whole lot of 4 bedrooms. So yeah, I would say 150, 140, because there's not a lot of 4 bedrooms to compare it to. They probably built that extra room in there to up the rent. So if you get a sold property that you find, or a cash buyer that you find, they have a property and there's no sold again, like you see the sale that they bought it, but there's no sold afterward, that means they didn't rehab it and list it with a realtor. That means they just bought it at that price, rehabbed it for some amount, and then rented it out. But this person actually looks like they rented it out on Zillow, which is where these pictures came from. And let's see. It was listed at 160, but they haven't sold it yet. It's pending. Nobody ended up getting it. That was in 2019. Ooh, trying to sell it right before the pandemic. They bought it at 163. So yeah, wow. So the guy bought it at 90, sold it to them, schmuck. I mean, sold it to them for 160 in 06, height of the market. Just like I said, and then they've been trying to sell it for that same price ever since, which they're not going to get. But this person has moved out to Ellenwood and is renting it out. So let's go up here. It's so weird calling it a rentometer. Okay. There we go. Boom. And this is a pro account, but you can just get on your computer, get on your phone, and you get 10 free. And it's only like $10 a month, I think. So it's worth it. But people come in here and they plug in the rent that they pay and then how many bedrooms and their address, and they get to compare it to other people. So you see 14. Okay, so 1450. 1450, and what did she buy that one at? Now, so here's the other good thing about this is, like, look, you got property tags. I can start an SMS campaign and it'll start texting her, and I can also start sending her mail, and it'll send mail to this Ellenwood address with that picture on the mail piece. Hey, is this your house? I want to buy it. But it pulls all this property data, and I don't have to upload any of it. Lot size, let's see. 160, I think, right? What she bought it at. Okay, so 160 means that the rent should be at least 1,600 for it to be, like, a good deal. So we're going to need it at some sort of discount. Now this might work as a, I don't know if they've got it rented out currently, but this might work as a lease option or a sub 2 if you can get, if the mortgage payment is less than the 16. Or oh wait, never mind. This is a buyer. All right, so yeah, you can find deals like this and better. I'm thinking this is a seller. But yeah, you could find a better deal like this. You guys see Citibank? Look at all this information just right here. She's 60, or she, right? Or they. Yeah, all this information on the buyer. Protestant? Wow, how would you know that? Okay. What her income is, her net worth, or their income. Single? Wow. And that skip trace was like 15 cents too. So amazing. Or you get all that without the skip trace. Skip trace just finds the numbers. Okay, so I could see all that information on what she bought. So I could, or they, who is it? I keep saying she. Patty. Okay, yeah. So she bought all that stuff. Uh, I can see what she'll buy. So I could give her a call and say, "Hey, are you buying more?" Yeah, and I could say, "Well, all right. I see you bought this one for this price. Are you buying more for that price? Or are you looking to get them at a better deal, or are you looking to buy bigger houses?" And they'll just tell you, and then you'll say, "All right." Or I'll go to the next slide where I talk about that. Uh, get them to commit. Now, this one you've got to be talking to them on the phone or meet them in person. Uh, ask about the last 3 deals they did. Tell me about the last couple of deals you did, and tell me what you bought them at and what you repaired them and all that. And then after they tell you everything, they might tell you like, I want them in this school district. I want them in Pope, Lassiter, or Walton school districts, which are 10 out of 10 school districts. I want them in this county. I want them on this road. I want them on this side of the road and not on that side of the road. I want them on this street in this neighborhood. There's a neighborhood in Cobb County where half the neighborhood is in Walton, which is a 10 out of 10 school, and the other one is in Sprayberry, which is like a 8 or 7 out of 10 school district. And so half the houses in the neighborhood are $50,000 less in value than the other half of the neighborhood. But then after they tell you all that, you say, if I bring a deal like that in that area at that price, would you buy it? And they'll say yes. So you get them to commit, and then you just find the deals that match. You basically just getting a shopping list at this point. So they tell me what they want, and then I just go find it. So as soon as I get somebody, I get them at a good price. I know instantly I've already got somebody to go buy it. I've already got the buyer. It's like a peace of mind. This weight is just lifted off you because you're doing it in reverse. Instead of going to the sellers and getting sellers and then like stressing out, like, I mean, I don't really stress out, but like, your heart gets pumping. You're like, all right, I got it under contract. Now I got to go find buyers. Well, now you've already got that. So as soon as you lock it up, you're just, all I gotta do is go get them to sign. I take this contract, I put them together, send them to the closing attorney. Chalker and chalker. All right. You know what they want the deals at. All you need to do is lock them up for less than that. So if we saw that she wanted them at 160, is that number in here? What she bought it at? Riverside Station Estates, Unit Phase 4. Was this the MCU? Yeah, see? Wow. Market value is 95. That one's like, she might be a motivated seller at some point. Jeez. Give me a second. My wife is in the car, like just playing on her phone. All right. So I think she bought it at 160, if I remember correctly. Okay. So 160, or say she wants to buy deals at like 130,000. Then you just go out and get them for 120, right? You know exactly how much you're making. And if you come up, it doesn't matter because it's already a done deal. If they say, oh, we want 125, just do it. Make that $5,000. Just quick flip. So easy. All right. And apparently I do a lot of stuff backwards. My wife says I sit on the toilet backwards. I told her the other day, I was like, we need dogs of bag food. She was like, what did you say? So apparently I do this a lot. But and then you close. You send stuff to the closing attorney and close on it. All right. So now I want to tell you all about foreclosures in 2021. They are extended until the 31st. They're only for federally backed loans. Okay, now this is important because I'm still getting foreclosures. I'm getting the report, but I'm now taking out all of the federally backed loans like Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and HUD. So I'm taking those out, and they can still foreclose on people. Like, what is the point of the moratorium if people can still be foreclosed on? What's the point? They need to put a stop to all foreclosures. Like, this guy didn't even know his house was in foreclosure because they didn't even tell him. He just was at dinner and started getting calls, and people were telling him, "Hey, they're foreclosing on your house. We'll buy it." Of course, he cussed them out. Don't say the F word when you're calling a seller. But so I've got two deals, two short sales that I'm working on right now. I've got them to the short sale negotiator, and we're going to wholesale them. One I've already got a buyer for. The other one's in Hiram, Georgia. So if you got a buyer in Hiram, Georgia, let me know. And I was talking to the guy, and he was just like, he's got enough money. He's buying another house, having it built. It's going to be built at the end of March, and he's going to move in, and he's going to move out of this one, and he's just giving me the house like for free. I'm like, oh my gosh. And whatever we can short the mortgage for, the mortgage is really high. So if we can get it down to like 150, 180, we can totally wholesale that thing. A golf cart community, pool. Um, I mean, little short shorts running around with little dogs in their purses, that kind of area, if you can believe that, in Paulding County. That's the kind of area. Um, and they're still foreclosing on him. And he had to call him and was like, how much is it foreclosing for? What's the amount? How much is it in arrear? Like, he knew he wasn't paying it, or he was having trouble paying it. And I was like, well, how do you have money to buy a new house? But I think the problem for him was that his mortgage was like 1,400 a month, something ridiculous, and it was way over what the rent or what the and so he tried to do a loan mod, but that only increased it. So he's like, well, I'm just not gonna pay it anymore. But I was like, man, they should not be able to foreclose. And he called me back and was like, well, I heard it's not a federally backed loan. He called them, and they told him straight up, there's nothing you can do. We could foreclose on you regardless of the moratorium. And they're so rude to this guy. I mean, I make money off the foreclosures, so I shouldn't want this, but I'm like, dude, you can't be foreclosing on all these people. Um, just insane. So you could still do foreclosures, and the way that you do a foreclosure is you can get an LLC for like $100 at the courthouse or online, and you get that LLC. You get funding, which I can provide funding. You can get funding through, I think, a couple vendors at the South at the REI USA if you need funding. So tons of people can get you funding. You get the funding, fund the deal, buy it in the LLC, and then you sell the LLC to the end buyer. Okay, and so you're not actually, because they have a seasoning rule, I think it's called, where you can't sell a house. You have to wait like 30, 60, 90 days before you can sell it. I don't know why they would care, but apparently they do. So you can put it in that LLC for like $100, and say you get the house at like 150. You then sell the LLC for 180, and of course you make more because they don't see how much you bought it at, but then the bank doesn't even know that you sold it. Excuse me. So you can still do federally backed loans. You can do foreclosures, and I believe you can get that list of foreclosures from lawclerkondemand.com, which is, I wonder if you get a discount through the REI USA, but I think they're a vendor. The CDC has also halted evictions, but people are still getting evicted. They're getting evicted they can't be evicted. I don't know why it's the CDC doing this, but they put out that you can't be, the vendor is Law Clerk on Demand. And so if you search for that, you'll find her. And she sends people to the courthouse, and they pull the list of divorce, probate, foreclosure, evictions, and code violations. Any county. Well, no, there's some counties she might have to send somebody out. Oh, yeah. Oh, I keep forgetting that this is like nationwide. Yeah, I think that is only in Georgia. Um, but reach out to her anyway. Like if you go to Law Clerk on Demand, you can get her to, she got her phone number on there and she'll pick it up and see if she knows of anybody, any of her friends doing this in other states. Or reach out to Stacy, she might know. But or post in the group if anybody knows where they can get a good list of foreclosures from. And you might be able to get that from list source. Okay. There's a super group in Arizona, I think this week or coming up. Yeah, no. You can wholesale in Georgia if you live in New Jersey. You can totally do that. So I do wholesaling. I'm in Georgia, so I can help you through that process if you need. And then I also do virtually. I was virtually in Orlando and Fort Worth, but my mastermind had told me that the market crash was coming, so I pulled out. And then a year later, coronavirus hit, so I guess they were right. And then there's another super group that's just virtual. I think she's in Montana or Ohio or somewhere, but all her stuff is in other states. And so we should be linking up at some point. So she would definitely be another resource. I forgot her name, but she would also be able to help you. She rehabs virtually. So both of us on your side should be able to help you with that. Yeah, cool. All right. Yeah, you learned about that at the summit. Uh, how should I get started? I'm doing both, new to wholesale. All right. So let me get to that in a second. All right. So the CDC has halted evictions. Tenants have to apply. They're still evicting them based on other stuff other than unpaid rent. There's an income requirement. You can go to that link. 25 billion is to landlords. So if you're a landlord, you can get some of that money. Rental assistance, if you are a tenant and you need some assistance, you can get that. Go to the last week's webinar to see the form and how to apply if you do anything like a gig economy or you work for Uber, you can get money, or if you have an LLC or you work for yourself already, anything other than an actual like job at an employer, you can get a PPP loan to replace some of your lost income, and then they're paying for people's water bills. Okay. Oh, talk to 5 sellers a day, make an actual offer uh, to talk to a person truly interested in selling your house. Promise me that. And then send a mail to anybody that you don't talk to. So if you talk to 3 sellers, mail out to the other 2. And in the first week, I show you how to find those people on Zillow. Set a task in Podio or on Google Calendar to send the mail. Again, 21 days, and repeat forever. Tag yourself in it. There's my contact. All right. Okay, so get started. All right, so um, go to that 12-week. Well, I would go back and watch all the weeks on here, and then next month or next Friday, I'm going to be talking about how to pick your CRM, how to build your CRM. But if you're going to get started, I think you got to build that CRM first. You got to build the place where you're going to put the properties, and then you've got to have them built in such a way that it's going to remind you, or if it's going to market to people for you. So like in Batch Driven, I talked about an SMS campaign. I've literally got a 7-step SMS campaign that will text people day 1, day 2, day 4, day 6, all the way up until day 12 or 14. So with a text. And then I've got a cold callers that will also call and text. I've got one lady in Mojo Dialer, and she'll just go through all the leads and just call them up. And there's a button in there where she'll send them a text, send them an email if they have an email. I got another guy that just pulls the whole list out of emails and just sends everybody an email of, hey, we need to talk to you about your house. So I would set up that CRM, whether it's Podio, and go through these things that I just talked about. So pick your your virtual number, pick your skip tracer, pick the list based on whether or the list, and then pick the marketing strategy based on whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. Like I'm an extrovert. I'll talk with like a wrong number for a whole hour. Like I got somebody put my number in a book at Kennesaw State, some university here, which is like 2 counties over. And it was like, hey, I was told to call this number for a good time. And I was like, man, you came to the right place. And we started sharing jokes and stuff. And then I was like, hey, I buy houses. So you always gotta you always gotta do that. Always be marketing. Also, if they're on month-to-month lease and you're not trying to get money back, just want to evict, you can. Yeah, a lot of typical leases have you cannot run a home-based business, but we're in a pandemic, so everybody's going to be running their business if they have it at home most of the time, and maybe it not be their business; it'll be their employer will be having them work at home because nobody can come into the office. But they're still evicting people. Um, and for other stuff like vandalism or whatever, I just saw something on TikTok the other day where this lady was filming her landlord key in the lock to come inside while she was in bed by herself at home. And he was just walking inside and she was just in her room like, what are you doing here? Like, just insane. Um, but Georgia's a landlord friendly state. Uh, so just crazy. All right. So getting started. All right. So get your CRM set up, get somewhere where you can put your stuff. When you make a Podio account, if you're making it for the first time, you'll tell them, hey, I'm making this for, you'll pick an industry. So you'll pick real estate. And so it will download automatically the app suite for real estate with the top rated, the most stars. And if you go to the second week of the wholesaling course, I go over how to actually trick out Podio and how to do all of that. Next month, I'm going to show you how to trick out Podio to do how to have Craigslist leads come right into Podio or have them emailed to you if you want. I'm going to show you how to create a batch driven account, how to, I think, are there other CRMs? Basically, I'm just going to go over all the CRMs. So you need a place to put your deals, even if that's like a Google spreadsheet, track them there. A good one is Evernote or OneNote if you're a Microsoft fanboy. But I like Evernote better because you don't have to have a Microsoft account. And they froze mine because I didn't use it for a lot, which is weird. You don't want me to use an account. Anyway, Evernote is a notes app, but it's in the cloud. And each property can be a different note. And I'll go over that next month. But if you really want to go that route, there's you can look up wholesaling or real estate with Evernote on YouTube and see how to get that set up. But you need a place where you can put your deals and have that, like, you need to be able to plug the deal in there and label whether, hey, I've contacted this person or I've knocked on their door, and then it needs to remind you to come back 3 weeks later or every week and keep reaching out to them. And the whole goal is to get a yes or a no out of them. Hey, are you interested in selling? No, cut them out, delete that lead, get it out of there. All right. Excuse me. Become the investor, pick a list type, pick a marketing strat, pick a skip tracer, and then pick a virtual number. So I would say driving for deals is probably going to be the best. Zillow, Craigslist, all free. Your pocket list. Generate a list with one of those. Pick one of these, which is probably going to, I would say cold calling would be the quickest way to get to the deal, or mass texting. And then pick a skip tracer. I would say go with Skip Vault I've got a link if you want to go with them. I'm sponsored by them, I think. Am I like famous enough to say that? Um, Lead Sherpa. I don't know what the price is of them, but they will actually skip trace an IP address. Um, so yeah, pick one of those skip tracing services, and then get a virtual number. If that's your Google Voice, do it and just call them and text them right from the Google Voice. Um, I had a student that just did Craigslist, and he would call them with his Google Voice number, and he got a deal in 3 months doing that. And he would just email them right out of Podio. It would come into Podio, the deal. He'd email them or call them from his Google Voice. He worked, I think, at Vonage. So he would work from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., come home, and then call people 2 hours before 9 o'clock. Sometimes they'd be mad, but he ended up getting a deal and made 8,000 on it. And then he ended up taking that money, buying a virtual assistant. I helped him set up a virtual assistant, and they then started doing that for him while he was working at Vonage. And now he doesn't work at Vonage anymore. So your team, you need to talk to a realtor from the REI USA or in your state, or from like a wholesaling real estate investor meetup, not a normal realtor that's going to say wholesaling is illegal. Get you either a lawyer on demand or a Legal Shield lawyer, and then meet some other wholesalers and get their contact info. And then set a goal. So do all of that. That'll get you started, and then we'll come back next week and we'll help you with your CRM. Does anybody have any deals, by the way? Or is anybody marketing for deals? Are you not seeing the numbers that you are, or does anybody have any questions? In Georgia and teaming up with me, what do I need to do for homework? And apparently I need to review your older webinar. So if you want to wholesale in Georgia and team up with me, so I would say the best thing would be is to text me, Kimberly, because what I've been doing with my cold callers is I reached out a while ago. So from doing meetups, I've got a bunch of wholesalers, and I was like, well, I'll take you under my wing and you'll work for me as a cold caller acquisition specialist. And I get you into batch driven with an account, and then you'll go through there and skip trace, or well, you'll skip trace people, or you'll call people and you'll text them. And then I do a weekly like Zoom meeting with everybody there, and we have a Slack account where we talk about best practices and how to talk to the seller. This is so cool. So this dude just called me and was like, "Hey Mike, how's it going? I got this contract ready to go. What was the number we came to on it? I remember we spoke like last week, and I put all these numbers in my phone. I saved them, so I was like, I know this guy doesn't know, but I said some ridiculous number, and it wasn't even a house I own anymore. It was a wholesale deal. So I was like, okay. But I was telling the group, we did it last Friday, and the guy was like, but the seller's not going to know. Uh, Henley said the seller's not going to know that. They get so many of these calls, they're not going to know. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. So they started doing that, and that's been getting people left and right. Because they think they've already spoken to you. They it's not falsely, but people think they've already built rapport with you and that you're already a nice person to be talking to. And I was like, wow. So yeah, I do that. If you're interested in that, there's no pay for it, but whenever you get a deal, we'll split it. I'll find the buyer, we'll split it. You do all the calling, I provide the scripts, I provide the list, I skip the list, do all that. All you do is just call them, lock them up, and then I'll get you in the Slack and in batch driven with your email. and I'll get you. And now we're doing calls on Sunday at 2. So if you're available, then you can jump on. And then of course those are pre-recorded. And yeah, so if you don't want to do that, but you still want to work with me, you could still get deals on your own, and just send them to me before or after you get them under contract. I mean, if I steal a deal from you, you'll know because I'll be on here trying to sell it. Um, and so um, you could do that if you get them under contract and then bring them to me. We can co-wholesale them. I'll find a buyer here. I've got a guy that will find buyers too. I have some deals from other wholesalers because now I'm a buyer for fix and flips. I'm scaling. I want that too. Yes, yes, yes. Calling. You mean the working with me in batch driven? Yeah, just text me about that. I have deals that are still really good. If you're an investor, they just don't meet my criteria. Less than for yeah, send them to me. So about that. So I went to these deals. So these are the deals I was going to sell on the 27th. Uh, they're not that good. um, if I wouldn't be selling this to a hedge fund, because I took some of these deals, I took these two, and I sent them to the guy that finds buyers in Atlanta, and he was like, the ARV sucks on those. The ARV is actually, and I looked it up, it's less than 70,000. So these wholesalers have these deals and they're having trouble selling. These two are actually owned, I think, by the investor. Or no, the tenant occupied ones are actually owned by the investor or the person who's selling them, the wholesaler. So it makes sense that they want a lot for it because they got a cash flowing tenant in the property. And then one of them is like could rent for a lot more than what they have it rented out for. Which I'm like, dude, just well, you can't up the rent. It's a pandemic, but you could probably up the rent by like $50 every 6 months or something. Or help get the tenant rental assistance, and then they can cover the rent. And then of course you can up the rent, and that rental assistance will help pay for that increased rent. But these are not good deals. Like, look at this, like 1%. So, well, they're good, but these need repairs. So if I factor in the repairs, they're not going to be at 1%. And the ARV in all of these is less than the price. So when you buy them, there's no equity, and people want equity. So I can't sell any of these to my Glengarry guy. These all have to go on February 16th to the hedge fund. So co-wholesaling is good. Who said that? I have some deals from other wholesalers, Colleen. So be very wary. Like I sent two of these deals, and these are good guys, and I sent two of these deals to him, and he was like, "This is not a good deal at all." And I was like, "Oh man," because that made me look bad. So now I've got to check the ARV before I send it to him. So just be wary about other wholesalers. I took a course called 10-Hour Wholesaler, and it was all about you just find buyers and then you find wholesalers. And I tried that, and none of them were good deals. Because if it's a good deal that the wholesaler has, chances are they'll already find a buyer for it themselves. Oh, my dogs are going to start barking, just so you know. I have deals that are really good, yes. But I mean, who knows? Maybe these wholesalers you are do have good deals. The deals turn over to buyers in less than 30, 60 minutes. Oh, good, good, okay. Non-refundable EMDs. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And don't do those things that you do. What is it? The contract. Just let that person have the seller agreement with the seller, and then you just fill out the assignment, and then have them sign the assignment too, and then that'll go to both of you. Because if you sign that agreement and you find a buyer for your own deal, since you signed an agreement with another wholesaler that you would split the profit with them, you still have to split the profit with them. So don't do that. Are there any other questions? I think we'll end it here because My wife's home and my kids are gonna be screaming and stuff. All right. So this recording will be up. You can text me at this number with the deals, Colleen and Kimberly. Kimberly. I look forward to talking to you. If you got a deal you want help on, you can text me, ask me about it, or better yet, post it in the group. All right. All right. Thanks, everybody. I will see y'all next week. And keep that promise to talk to 5 sales a day. Okay. All right. Be safe.